So to introduce our first contestant with the first speech of the evening, Sarah Jane Groome with "What Goes Up Must Come Down Eventually." With "What Goes Up Must Come Down Eventually," please welcome Sarah Jane Groome.
Saas-Fee, Switzerland. Wisemere Peak stands out at a massive 4,023 metres. Our ambitious climb, our first true alpine adventure. This is serious stuff. This is no joke. There are 8 of us. I'm the only girl, and we share a mixture of tents that look like a refugee camp. Behind our tents are a row of neatly aligned north-faced tents, but there is no sign of anybody at home. The next morning we are tramping across the Triff Glacier, fenced in by walls of mountains, and the snow hangs on the mountains like badly iced cakes, and the ground crunches with every step we take. We are roped together in falls of safety. But the next step I take, I am suddenly facing the snow and my feet are weightless. Behind me, the others slip and stumble and fall and use their ice axes to break. Are you okay? I have soon recovered, but it feels like a long time, and we're brushing ourselves down, when Morris at the back, to break the tension, shouts, "Anybody got a spare pair of underpants?" We make it across the glacier, and we sit at the edge of the valley, looking down, taking a rest. Brent is fishing around in his rucksack when his guidebook flips out and lands on the snow. This is the book he has written every climb that he's ever done, with comments such as, "Grandma's crack, hard VS, bitch of a chimney climb, much skin lost, loose at top." His book begins to take speed and slide away. He goes to grab at his book, forgetting we're roped together. His book toboggans round the slope. It gets to the edge of a crevasse where it stops, its pages flapping, before it tips into the abyss below. I turn to Brent. His face is pale. "Don't worry, Brent. It'll be found in 1,000 years. You did put your name in it, didn't you?" We are now faced with a slope of snow. But don't worry, don't fear for our safety, because we know how to test for avalanches. You cut a square cube in the slope. You put your ice axe in the back and you give it a pull. The ease at which the square comes out is a test for the stability of the slope. So, we cut our cube. We put our ice axe in the back, but before we even have a chance, the cube falls out. We look at each other. We decide the only course of action is to ditch the Kendal mint cake, and we go straight anyway. We are now struggling with the 6 hours of climbing. We're sucking at the thin air like goldfish. When we are passed swiftly by Germans. They bid us "Guten Tag, für einen Aufstieg." We wave. We can see the hut above, but the hut is guarded by ibex. These are no ordinary goats. They are 3 times as big, and they have horns like IKEA bookshelves. We try to get past them without catching their eye, when one leaps as if blown by an invisible force and smacks one of the team on the back. This is the guy carrying the packets of powdered milk, powdered custard, and tin of Parmesan cheese. There is a puff of powder as they act like airbags in reverse. The hut above is also guided by a very steep climb. Now I'm the only girl, I've taken my turn to carry the rope, but it's heavy with ice. I'm struggling to reach the handhold above when a hand comes down to help me up. But I have not done all these hours of climbing to be helped at the last step. So I rudely ignore the hand, only to find later that it belonged to a really dishy German. Why do I always take these moments to be so independent? That night, sitting on our wooden platform, looking at the white crinkled world below, eating our noodles with cheese and custard, and our fruit with custard and a hint of parmesan. The next day, we wake up unearthly at 3 o'clock. You might ask why. This, I feel, I need to demonstrate. Because at 7 o'clock, the snow is nice and firm. No problem, you can admire the view. But an hour later, you're going down to your knees. It's not so easy. But an hour after that, you're going down and up. Sometimes up to your thighs, other times down again. You don't know which leg is going to go up and which one's going to go down. It's maddening. You're lucky if you can make the top by lunchtime. We make our peak and we stand to have our photographs taken at the top. We're now coming back down through the snow, which is now soft, when we are passed again by the Germans. They barely break the surface. They bid us guten Tag for einen Ausstieg. Later, we see them going up a neighbouring peak. That evening, we're sitting around our campsite, enjoying our cocoa, looking up proudly at our quest. When we spot 4 parachutes glide elegantly into the campsite. It is the 4 Germans parachuting off their final peak. There is a moral to this story. Whatever you think you're doing well, there is always someone doing it just that bit better.